Good, very early morning, all my YouTube people. 12:05 a.m. on the 14th. I have to be up in about 7 hours, so I'm just gonna, try and get this video done. I've been really tired lately too. I've been walking 6 miles a day, to the point where my worn out feet are killing me. I was only really able to walk a couple miles today to Starbucks and back. So I think one day a week I'm going to try and give myself a light day. But I can feel it. I kind of overate a little bit, and I can just tell that I just didn't work off as many calories today as I should have. Like I mentioned maybe in the stuff I didn't like about fall video you may have just watched, my brother VPR 55, is it 555 or 5555? I think it's VPR 555. Recommended a couple ideas for videos, and this one is going to be 7 businesses that have disappeared, say within the last 30 years or so, that I actually miss. I kind of struggled with some of these. These aren't in any order. So number 1, Pier 1 Imports. I know that might be weird to say, but any of you that, I don't know how many subscribers I have that know me from back in the day, but my first long-term relationship with Carrie, if any of you remember, she was really into Pier 1. We used to go in there and look at stuff, all the time. This would have been kind of when they were still in good shape as a company. But they just had a very unique array of light candles and tables and chairs and, stuff like that. It was a nice store to go in, to kind of see not everyday housewares, I guess would be a good way to put it. But when all's said and done, you can just do with the tables and chairs they sell at Walmart and stuff, and a lot of times it was just too expensive. I remember we bought some pillows there and stuff like that. We bought some candles there and stuff like that. But mainly she liked to go in there and just kind of look around, and it smelled nice, and I kind of really enjoyed doing that with her. Number 2, Fry's Electronics. I am kind of a PC builder from back in the day. I ran a PC sales and repair business for a few years before I moved to China. And I also, as I may have mentioned here and there, do a lot of work on electric guitars and basses. So Fry's was a really good place to go and get computer components and like capacitors and potentiometers and stuff for guitars that was local. I didn't necessarily have to wait, to get this stuff shipped in. Now, they didn't always have the right value pots and stuff like that. It's important to use the right value pots in your instrument, because if you say put a humbucker that's really powerful behind a 250K pot rather than a 500K pot, you're really compressing it. You're really cutting off the edges of its sound and what it can do. Put 500K pots in your Strat sometime and see what it does to those single coils. It's really actually pretty impressive. But that was a very convenient place to go to get electronics wares and stuff like that. And a lot of the staff over in the PC electronics section was really knowledgeable. I just realized my shirt's on inside out. Oh well. So 2, Fry's Electronics. Number 3, Sam Goody. Now, I don't necessarily have great memories of, or really miss this place because they sold music. There were cheaper places to buy music. But I'm a real old school anime guy. I'm talking like Robotech and, 3x3 Eyes, Photon Space Sailor, Starlight, Appleseed, Black Magic M66, Bow, old school stuff when anime was actually good. And really, Sam Goody was about the only place in town that you could go and buy anime. You could rent some here and there at video stores and, make copies if you wanted. But, by that time you were having to find your way around Macrovision, so it was still a lot more convenient to buy it in a lot of cases. But that, and eventually they started selling guitar products as well. They started selling the Maestro line of Gibson's guitars, which are just kind of meh electric guitars. But what they kind of started selling before the guitar line was like strings and stuff like that. So it was a really convenient place to go and get strings and other accessories before we had an actual music store in the mall. And sometimes they had that music store beat on strings. I remember that my local Sam Goody used to sell ESP strings, which was kind of interesting because, ESP barely makes guitars, like, it's just weird that they made strings. They weren't terrible strings. But yeah, mainly, anime and guitar accessories is my memories of that place. Number 4, service merchandise. Now this is going to be service merchandise before they changed their format. When everything was behind glass, there may have been like a select few things like action figures and stuff that were just there on display and you could grab one. But and a lot of you younger folks that watch my channel might remember service merchandise, but probably by the time you guys started going to service merchandise, you just grabbed what you wanted and took it to the checkout counter, unless it was a big item. But back in the day, 90% of their goods were behind glass. You couldn't even handle them, and it was a really good format because it's hard to explain why it worked, but it did work. It was a really interesting way to kind of go shopping. Most people want to handle a demo product, but you just never felt like that was necessary at service merchandise, I remember I got my first really powerful Marksman air gun at service merchandise. The 650 feet per second model that was like a half pistol, and you could actually pump that thing 10 times. It was a little awkward to pump, but once you got that thing pumped up, it was like, wow. And then they sold a like thumb hole style stock for it, so you could turn it into like a little short carbine style single shot. That was a really just cool way to go shopping. And one of the things that I really remember liking about it, I don't know if my brother will agree with me here, but I liked that it wasn't crowded. There were enough people that needed to handle a product that just didn't want to go there because they couldn't do that. So I can see why eventually they kind of started to struggle, but it was nice to go there, have some peace and quiet, and just kind of be able to select a product you wanted and if you didn't like it, you just took it back. They had a very liberal return policy. But yeah, look up service merchandise in the 80s, and if you're more, if you're like a Gen Y, millennial, you probably will remember the old format. But if you're more a millennial, you might remember the secondary format that was more like a department store. Although some of their larger items you still had to request from the back. But literally in the early 80s, you had to request almost everything. I remember they had some like Robotech little action figures that you could just grab one. Maybe 5% of their items you could handle in some way, or just take up for checkout. Number 5, Barnum and Bailey Circus. Now, I don't necessarily like the potential animal cruelty that is associated with circuses, or clown cruelty even. Clowns freak me out, man. But I do have a lot of fond memories of getting passes for the circus at school every year. They were a very good deal. I remember going to the circus with, the 4 members of my family, maybe even my grandparents, on several occasions. But apparently they are not around anymore. And that is a good point. You don't really see too many circuses advertised anymore. It's mainly carnivals that are traveling around. Speaking of carnivals, it's very weird to, roll through like downtown Grand Prairie and, see a carnival in the parking lot at the City Hall across from your chiropractor's office. It's really weird. But yeah, I would say that I potentially would miss that circus, and now that I've been reminded of it, it would kind of be interesting to go to a circus and see what's up with it these days, but I just don't think that they're around anymore. Number 6, Compaq. Compaq was one of the early computer companies out there. I had a 486 Compaq notebook, or little laptop, while I was in tech school. It was on its last legs when I had it and eventually failed, but it was a reliable little computer while it worked. It was one of the first notebooks I ever had that was in color. I also had a 386 notebook that was mono, color capable. You could watch video and play games on it, but that were color, but it was still just mono. I forget what they referred to that as. I think it was color capable, but it was not color. Some of you computer guys will have to help me with the term there. I don't quite remember it. Compaq also released pretty much the first portable computer. They were really a serious competitor in the clone market for IBM, and they were around a long time, quite a long time. You could probably say the same thing about Gateway. Gateway was another computer company that was sort of competition for Compaq. I think they were around for a little while at the same time, but then both Gateway and Compaq sort of disappeared, around the same time. Probably, I'm not sure why, but I would think it probably had something to do with IBM machines just becoming a little bit more affordable, one, and, even now you can build yourself a clone system that's pretty cheap. It basically just, aside from the notebook world, it got a little cost prohibitive to even buy a name brand desktop. Now, I'm not saying that's something you wouldn't still do, Hewlett Packard still makes. I have a Dell. No, this is an HP. I have an HP desktop right here. I noticed Walmart still sells HP desktops. I might see Dell still selling desktops as well. I mean, there are a few companies that are still around and doing that, but a couple of the companies from back in the day just did not make it, and Compaq was one of those. And again, I had a Compaq system or two and knew some people that had Compaq systems. They were pretty good computers. And if you want to check out, you know, their early portable computer, it's not very portable by today's standards, but you can kind of see where the all-in-one craze kind of came from, if you want to check that out. Number 7. This is a touchy one because, well, it's Blockbuster. Now I realize that they are technically still around, but they literally only have one nostalgia store. It's just a nostalgia store, pretty much. The people that own it are really struggling to keep it open. It, you know, from what I understand, it doesn't make much money. It's in Bend, Oregon. So as near as it matters, they're gone. Now, like I said, I do not miss physically having to go and rent videos at the video store and everything like that. But I can remember going to Blockbuster with a couple friends of mine even after I got back from China. So if I was going to pick a video store chain that I really miss the most, it's probably Blockbuster. Then I'd probably be followed by Hollywood Video, which I think belonged to H-E-B, if I'm not mistaken. They were either independent or they belonged to H-E-B, but I know they were a chain, and they were at least a little bit popular for a while, at least where there were H-E-Bs. But yeah, like I said in another video, once watching stuff online or just downloading stuff, essentially piracy, once piracy kind of, you know, crept up on people, just renting videos became passé, and so did Blockbuster. I have a bonus one because I never actually shopped at this store, primarily because there was never one in Harlingen. There was one in Brownsville, and I believe one in McAllen, and maybe a couple other places, but nowhere that I really needed to go, because as a Harlingenite, everything's in Harlingen that's necessary. Even though it's a smaller town, smaller valley town, but I miss the theme song primarily, and that would be Toys R Us. I don't want to grow up, 'cause if I did, I would be a Toys R Us kid. You know? With the commercial with the kid jumping around and everything. It was a good commercial. It looked like a really interesting place to shop, and like a whole department store like that, just based on toys, seems like it would have been a trip to go to. I think I have gone to the one that was in Brownsville once or twice, because a friend of mine was doing some shopping there. But I've never purchased anything that I know of, at least, or can remember, from Toys R Us. In the Valley, or in Harlingen, if I was going to say we had a dedicated toy store, it would be probably KB Toys. Anyway, video ran a little bit long, but thanks for watching. Please subscribe and give me other ideas for videos in the comments if you like. Good night, happy holidays everybody, and have a good weekend. Gorman Runnin' signing out.